Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the anti-TBR tag. I kind of felt like I was getting into a reading slump after October. Obviously I read a lot of books and I read a lot of really great ones, and once I decided to pick something up at the beginning of all this, I was like, oh god, I've lost my momentum. So I saw this tag and it's by Nicole and her books. And I was like, this sounds really cool. So this is what my video is going to be about today. I also really like tag videos because they're super easy and I haven't figured out what I'm going to read as far as this month is concerned. So with that being said, here we go. The first question is, a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. So this is a little bit different. I don't necessarily I thought long and hard about how I would answer this question, and honestly the thing that I kept getting back to is that this is a book I wish that I hadn't read. If I could go back in time and have not picked this book up when I was in Barnes & Noble and I could just erase it from my memory, I would do that. And it is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston? Everybody knows what book I'm talking about. I really did not like this book, and it still is like, it's interesting to me how many like raving reviews it gets, but I know for me, I could not get past the main character, Alex. That was the hardest thing for me, and it just never got better from there. I understand that they had, you know, great love scenes, and I'm all here for it, but him as a character, I couldn't do it. I just could not take it. Insufferable character to read. The twist, you know, everything that's going on with his mom as the president and the person who's trying to take the family down. What the hell was that? The friend becomes Nancy Drew, and then it just really ends in a way that I thought, huh, interesting. So for me, I couldn't get past it. I had to choose that book. If I had never read it to begin with, I probably wouldn't have read it anyway. So that is my choice. I apologize. I know a lot of people like that book, but I just can't. I just cannot. Question 2, a classic book or author you don't have an interest in reading. I don't have an interest in reading Anna Karenina by Tolstoy, mainly because of the length. It's already hard enough at times for me to read a classic novel, just in general, you know, it's the way it's written, it's the time period, whatever. I read Wuthering Heights, I've read The Great Gatsby, but to me, those are pretty short. I think they were like 300 pages. Anna Karenina is almost 1,000 pages. I've read my chunky fantasy novel before that's 1,000 pages. I don't know if I could read a classic that is that long. I've never watched the movie. I think my sister has. I also think my sister's read the book. I would be open to watching the movie, and I would probably read Anna Kay, the newest like kind of retelling that came out, but I can't read this classic book. I just can't do it. It's too much. Question 3 is an author whose books you have no interest in reading / a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. I chose John Green. I think I've read a John Green book before. I'm not sure. The first time I was introduced to him was like in college for a literature class or something like that. But, you know, for me personally, I don't really like YA contemporary. That's his genre for the most part. If he's written anything outside of that genre, I'm not sure. But most of those books that are super popular, I have no interest in reading. I didn't really care for The Fault in Our Stars as a movie. That's the only thing I just watched it as a movie, but I was like, okay, interesting. Like I can see why people like this, but it's just not for me. But it's the, you know, manic pixie dream girl trope thing that I don't really like. From what I understand, all of his main characters are just kind of like generic, mediocre white dudes, not a lot of diversity. I guess you could argue he sticks with what he knows. He's a white guy. So do I want him to necessarily write from a woman's perspective? I'm not really sure, but I mean, will we ever know? He only sticks with this, and I don't like that trope personally. I don't like a Manic Pixie Dream Girl helps me find myself, but in reality, it's really within you. It's not, you know, don't put women on a pedestal type thing. I could do without it. I'll pass. Question 4, an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. So this one's kind of funny considering it's not just I've read like a couple. I've read about, like 15 books of this author. So the thing is that I used to really love this author so much, and then it got to a point where she lost me, and that's Laurel K. Hamilton. I've read almost every single book in the Anita Blake series, and it got to a point where it just became straight erotica and no plot, so she lost me there. But she also wrote Mary Gentry, and that was a series that she wrote that I really didn't get into. I think I tried to read the first book in that series, and it just really wasn't for me. Probably because I was so in love with Anita Blake at the time. There was nothing for me there. I just could not get into Mary Gentry. So it's gonna have to be Laurel K. Hamilton to me, and this is not the only time she will be mentioned, so just know that. Question 5, a genre you have no interest in or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. YA contemporary is gonna be my answer for this. I've read some YA contemporary that I really like, but it's really just not a genre that I reach for. I've read some that have just really turned me off, and there's some popular series that I know a lot of people like that, again, I probably wouldn't read that. I probably could have used that for question 1, but I didn't want to do that. I want to be a little messy. But YA contemporary probably. I don't mind contemporary overall, but YA contemporary, not my favorite. Question 6, a book you have bought but will never read. This can also be a book you unhauled, returned to the library unread. This is gonna have to be the Grisha series by Leigh Bardugo. I really like the other series I've read by Leigh Bardugo, but the Grisha series just lost me. I read the first book, and this was one I got from the library, and I actually waited until all 3 were available so I could just get them all at once. And after I finished the first one, I just wasn't really happy with it. It seemed very predictable. I wasn't invested in the characters. If there was a love story, I'm not really sure. The Darkling thing didn't interest me either. I know a lot of people who like Nikolai, I think that's his name, King of Scars. A lot of people really, really love that character. Not really her. I don't know why, but I can't see myself ever picking that series up and finishing it. But at the same time, I will say it would be easy to finish, just because there's really not a lot to it from what I remember. It was an easy read, it just wasn't that entertaining. Question 7, a series you have no interest in reading or a series you started and have DNF'd. This will definitely have to be A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So I read the first book. I guess you could say I had that same impression like I did with the Grisha series, the first book in that one. It's like, yeah, I know what's gonna happen. You know, pretty basic. It's nothing that really blew my socks off. I didn't totally hate it. Then I started the second book, and one of the very first like love scenes, I was like, I don't want to read this. I don't want to deal with this, because now I can't even remember anybody's name either. It's been that long. But she is trying to express her concerns about something, and instead of listening to her, he just kind of like goes down on her, and then that's it. I'm sure eventually they have a conversation about whatever she wanted to talk about, but that really just made me feel like, I don't know if I want to keep reading this, because if I remember correctly, in the first book, that happened before. Not that he went down on her to make her shut up, but basically, I have a concern, I want to talk about this. No, how about no? And that just gets boring after a while, but that particular scene made me go, I mean, that might have been sexy for some people. That was not sexy to me. No, I didn't like it at all. And the last question is, number 8, a new release you have no interest in reading. I have 2. One of them is Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. I remember reading Ready Player One and actually liking it, but then I had time to kind of let it sit, and I thought, I didn't actually really like that book. It wasn't terrible, but after I finished it, I assumed that it was a standalone. I know that I would never pick that up and read it again, and now that there's a second book, I have no desire to read it. So that's answer one. And then the second one, interestingly enough, Laurel K. Hamilton is coming out with another book, and it's Raphael. So I don't know how many other people have read Anita Blake novels. Like I said, that was one of my favorite series. I remember wanting to read something new. My stepdad suggested a book by Laurel K. Hamilton. It was Blue Moon. So that was my first Anita Blake novel. It wasn't the first book in the series, but you can kind of read them out of order in the beginning, not later, because there's so many damn boyfriends and girlfriends that she has that you will absolutely not know what the hell is going on. So many relationships, so much drama. But Raphael is one of the characters in there that I actually really liked. He is a were-rat, and he is probably like, what, the only character that hasn't slept with Anita at this point. And that's okay. It's okay that Anita has slept with a lot of people. It's just, wow. Anyway, I am kind of interested to read it because I like Raphael as a character, and sometimes Laurel K. Hamilton has done a decent job of having a book about a character and it not being that bad. She had one for Micah. You learned a little bit more about him. She had one for Jason. You learned a little bit more about him. That was ridiculous, though. If I remember correctly, that one was also kind of stupid because of some other stuff that happens in it. But I can't deny that every single time a new Anita Blake novel comes out, I'm super curious to read it. I really loved her as a character, but I just can't bring myself to pick up another one after, oh man, what was the last one I read? It was like Dead Ice or something, where I really thought we were getting back on track with Anita as the person you knew her from the beginning, and she was, well, I would just like to say that I record on my phone. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Usually I tell my husband before I film so he doesn't call me. But today, I was like, I'm just gonna trust in my phone. And guess what? It betrayed me. So I don't remember where I left off because I had to take a phone call from my husband. I think I ended off talking about Laurel K. Hamilton, and I don't even fucking know, but anyway, that's basically the end of the video. I'm not looking for, or I don't want to read Ready Player 2 and Raphael by Laurel K. Hamilton. And I certainly do not want to re-record this video. So thanks everybody for watching this again. I appreciate it. It was really fun. I like doing tag videos. This is really only the second one I've done. The first one was the newbie tag, but I fully plan on doing some more. No one has requested me to do these, and I don't care because it doesn't matter. And with that being said, thank you. Goodbye. Bye.